actually think we should have fun with the sanctuary too. I don't think we should do sunrise. I think we should just, yeah. Let's see here. You might be doing it different too. For this part right now. I think that's what Lizzie just said. It's okay. It won't happen for your stuff. Shabbos, join us. Open up the little service packet you were given on the way in. In the middle at the top, there is a one-line prayer, Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayem, shechazarta bi nishmati rabba emunatecha. It's a traditional blessing for waking up in the morning. The Jews say, I acknowledge that I am here. My soul was returned to me after a night's sleep. That is not something to take for granted. But I woke up, and I'm breathing. I'm alive. Bless God. God must have faith in me. I must have something I need to do today. I must have something I need to accomplish. And maybe that's just waking up and being with other humans and celebrating and singing and showing up for friends. But nonetheless, every single day, we have the opportunity to be grateful. And so we begin our service with this word and this prayer. And we'll begin together. And Liliana will help lead us. Yeah? Modani? All right. Modani lefanecha ruachai ruachai v'kayam shechazarta binishmati bechem laraba emunatecha bechem laraba emunatecha. One more time, modani, modani lefanecha ruachai v'kayam shechazarta binishmati bechem laraba emunatecha. We sing grateful am I as I sit before you. Grateful am I as I sit before the living spirit of the world. Living spirit of the world. This soul you gave me. The soul you gave. And your great faith in me. Your great faith in me. May I be grateful. May I be good. May I be good. Bechem laraba emunatecha Blessed Shabbos. Thank you. My name is Rabbi Lizzie Heidemann. Welcome to Mishkan. No shame in answering this question. Raise your hand if it's your first time at Mishkan. Yay! Welcome! We're so happy to have you here. And whether that is because you are here for Liliana's bat mitzvah, woohoo, or just because you were curious to check, is there anybody who's actually here for not that reason? For the first time? No. Okay. Raise your hand if it's your first Shabbat service ever, whether at Mishkan or anywhere else. Wonderful. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you get to experience this here with us. So Mishkan is a Jewish community here in Chicago. We're about 11 years old. And one of the core Jewish spiritual practices, it's actually one of the 10 commandments, is Shabbat, is the Sabbath, which we celebrate on Saturday. And I actually just had I taught the Exploring Judaism class this past week, which is a conversion class. And we talked about what we do and what we don't do on Shabbat. Like there's two orientations to this day. One is all the things you should not do because they are work. And the whole point of Shabbat is don't work. Like you should have one day where you just get a break, where you don't work. So let's do this exercise for a moment. What are some things that actually are on your should not do today list, as long as you're here at the very least? Work email. Thank you. Please don't check work email while you're sitting here. Use your phone in any way. If you are here in this service, we have this yummy opportunity to sing together and pray together and celebrate and learn Torah together, learn Torah from a growing Jewish adult and from one another. Yeah, don't leave your phone in your pocket. In fact, if you want to do something really liberatory, turn it off. Think about it. Just think about it. Okay, what else? What else might be on your should not do list while you're here? Yeah. Homework. Yes. Do not do your homework here. Thank you. That's for a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night or a Thursday night or like a Friday at noon. But like once the sun sets on Friday night, Shabbat happens. And we're in it. We're actually in the middle of it now. It started last night as the sun went down. People lit candles, said blessings, ate dinner. And then, here we are in the morning. We're well rested. And so, yes, do not do your homework or check work email. Okay. There's actually a funny joke about, because you're not supposed to engage in commerce either. You know, the whole idea of, buying and selling and engaging in, the productive world of, economy. No, the tradition says, don't even think about it. Don't even talk about it. So there's a funny joke about, I don't know if you'll find it funny, Two guys come in on Shabbat, and they're standing in the back while the service is happening, and one says, I know we're not supposed to talk about this on Shabbos, but I'm selling my car. And the other guy is like, okay, well, so not that we're talking about this on Shabbat, but how much are you selling it for? Yeah. And they go back and forth. Not that I'm supposed to say, it's in Yiddish, nicht auf Shabbos gerät, and they go back and forth, and so finally, at the end of the service during Kiddush, somebody comes up to the original guy and says, I know you're not supposed to talk about this on Shabbos, but I heard you were selling your car. And the original guy says, I know I'm not supposed to say this on Shabbos, but it's sold. So that is to say, nobody does this perfectly. We're not trying to be perfect, but we are trying to be human. And so for so many of us, the first time we come to Mishkan or to a Jewish service, or it's been a while, the words in the Siddur, in the prayer book, may feel unfamiliar. And we feel like, well, I shouldn't open my mouth to sing then because I don't know them. But open your Siddur for a moment. This is the prayer book, this hardcover book. Open it up to, say, page 29. 29. And I just want to orient you. I want to orient you to the page. Down the middle binding on the inside to the left is the traditional Hebrew. And so if Hebrew is the language you read most naturally and you're very comfortable with the traditional language, so just use the Hebrew. If you want to
sing the words with us and pray along with us. But Hebrew is, you don't read Hebrew, great. You just read on the outer left-hand side. That's called transliteration. And it's there for every single prayer that we'll be doing. And then on the right-hand side are both translations of all the Psalms and the prayers, and also some sort of philosophical musings by the author of the Siddur. Okay, so I'm glad you're all here. And now we can talk about the shoulds. What should you do on a day of rest? On this day of rest? Sing, yes. How many of us get the opportunity to sing during the week with other people? Make harmony, right? This is a gift. What else? Oh, be kind. Yes. I mean, I hope you do it more than one day a week. But also, yes, make a special effort today. Anything else? Sleep? Schmooze. I thought she said snooze, which is also something you can do today. But yes, schmooze. Talk to people you don't know. Expand your world. And I already feel like that's happening. All right. So thank you all so much for being here and for placing yourself in, for many people, a new and possibly slightly uncomfortable place. But I hope that it will be the kind of discomfort that is like the joy of learning, you know, which kids have, and that I feel like as adults we sometimes get a little bit intimidated by because it feels, you know, like we like being adults who know things. So I just want to invite you to put that down too and be in the childlike wonder space of learning and of growing and of singing. And so actually, I'm going to invite Liliana to rise as her parents give her a talis, this prayer shawl garment. You're all invited if you want to grab your own from the front. And if you speak over here, that mic should pick you up. Yeah, why don't you go around? Watch, yeah. Yeah, and you know what, if you want, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I'm trying not
Okay.
to cry. We talked about
It's okay if you cry.
Okay.
Crying on Shabbat is totally allowed, especially during
So this is a prayer shawl that my grandfather wore, and all the Willie's cousins have been bat mitzvahed or bar mitzvahed in, and now you join us, and your papi would be so proud of you.
You want to repeat after me?
Now you have to do the prayer.
You say it.
Oh, Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav,
asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav,
v'tzivanu
v'tzivanu, lahitatef,
b'tzitzit.
b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Amen.
Yasher koach. We pick up on page 29 with Ashrei. Ashrei Yoshvei Veitecha Od Hallelujah Od Hallelujah. Talius, will you lead us in this one?
Ashrei
Ashrei
Yoshvei
Yoshvei Veitecha Od Hallelujah Od Hallelujah.
Ashrei
Turn to 33, and if you just sort of do it page by page, you'll see different psalms. Psalm 146, 147, 148, 149, Psalm 150. The morning prayer service is kind of a collection of psalms and statements from sages from thousands of years ago whose purpose was to try and put us in a positive frame of mind, regardless of where you're coming from. So not to say like toxic positivity, like no matter what you're feeling, feel happy, God forbid, but to just remember that whatever it is that you might be feeling or how you might have felt when you woke up, to remember that inside of you, you also have joy. You also have praise, you know, that this is in there too. And so to help wake up that part in you that might be sleeping still. So tradition says you're always supposed to pray with a window nearby. So we're lucky. We got big ones over here. I think the reason why the tradition says that is because they expected there would be trees and nature outside the window. I see a few trees. And I think why they said that is because trees and nature wake up in us a sense of awe and praise, you know? Here is something I did not create. Here is something that came before me and will outlive me. And that sort of dazzles us. So take a moment now to think of something that you are amazed by, you know? And maybe it's something as simple as a tree. Maybe it's a great friendship. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's witnessing learning. Maybe it's watching your little girl grow up. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry. My bad. And we sing praises. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. turn to 35. Nishmat kol chai tivarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. Let the soul breath of every living creature, every neshama, be a breath of praise to you. Let every living spirit, every ruach, make your spirit felt, Adonai. You can sort of read down the page, 35, 36, 37. We'll pick up on 38. You can read in the Hebrew, in the English. נהללך ונשבחך ונפארך ונברך את שם קודשך כאמור לדוד. ברכי נפשי את אדוני וכל קרובי את שם קודשו. We're on 39. Hey, hey, hey. We sing Shochein Ad, Shochein Ad. מחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל. ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור. שכן קובע כל יוצרים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו. להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, להלל ולקלס. על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות. דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך. We stand on 40. ישבח שמך לעד מלכנו. Here we all are today, raising our voices to you, our great and holy ruler. It is appropriate to offer you, God and God of our ancestors, our words, our songs, our thoughts, our feelings, to acknowledge your power, your sanctity, your greatness, and your glory. Barachot vehodot me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, el melech gadol b'tishbachot, el hahodot, Adon haniflaot, habocher b'shirei zimra, melech achei ha'olamim. And I'm assuming everybody with little ones in here wants to be in here, but if you want to be in the service for kids with little ones, it's beginning now in the classroom next door. We're on 41.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעמי עמיה, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן ועמלה, ואמרו amen. Just to point out kind of a funky thing that might pass you by, but is worth noting, the Chatzi Kaddish, what we just did, is in a language called Aramaic. Most of the service is in a language called Hebrew, except for the stuff that we do in English. And if we were in a service in Germany, we'd be doing the English stuff in German, or if we were in Iran, we'd be doing it in Farsi. And if we were in Japan, we might be doing it in Japanese, right? The Jewish tradition, probably like most religions that are all over the world and, you know, have ethnicities and nationalities and races that are that span the gamut, has as part of our language, the language that a lot of our stuff was originally written in, Hebrew, and then every other language that our people have ever spoken throughout the course of history, which some of which made it into the Siddur. And so Aramaic, the language that I feel like popularized by Jesus, is also in our Siddur, because actually we shared a lot of prayers. And so if you look at the translations of some of these prayers, especially the ones in Aramaic, you may recognize them from another tradition. This is, in many cases, where they started. So some of this may actually look familiar. We're going to turn the page, and there are these moments where the choreography of the service has us all do the same thing. A lot of the service can be messy. Like if you walk into an Orthodox synagogue, you might see people at all different pages that every so often do the same thing. And so the fact that we're kind of all singing together, all doing everything together, it's just one way of praying, but it's not the only way. But in any service, there are going to be moments where we all kind of do the same thing. And so the Baruch Hu on page 42 is one of those things, because not only do we join together in a call response moment, this is actually where anybody anywhere praying this service is going to face east. So actually, east is this way. Oops, thank you. East is where Jerusalem is, and where our people have been facing for thousands of years when turning a direction to pray, all facing the same direction. And in Chicago, it's where the sun rises every morning, reminding us that miracles happen every single day. And so you'll do the call response with me, and there'll be some bowing. Baruch Hu, the word for blessing, is also related to the word for knees, to bend. It's probably not an accident. So you'll bend your knees and you'll bend your hips as a bow, and then you'll come back up. Exactly. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. And now you say, and now I repeat back to you, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed. And we can take a seat. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Uvorei Chobo Shach Osei Shalom Uvorei Et HaKol HaKol Yoducha VaKol Yishabchucha VaKol Yomein Re'ein Kadosh Kadonai Kol Yirmu Chasela Yotzer HaKol. Can look on 43. Each day you burst open the doors of the eastern sky, and the windows surrounding the globe you propel the sun and moon out of their resting places. Each day you bring light to the cosmos and all its components, to our world and all who live in it, all created and sustained through your compassion. Each day you create the world over again, demonstrating your goodness. Turn to 44. Ein kerchach Adonai Eloheinu b'olam hazeh, ve'ein zulalcha malkeinu l'chayei olam haba. Efes biltecha go'aleinu limot hamashiach, ve'ein domeh lecha moshienu l'tchiat hametim. We pick up on 48. המחדש בטובו בכל יום תמיד, מעשה בראשית כאמור, לא שעורים גדולים כי לעולם חסדו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר המאורות. And we're on 49. This prayer begins with the words, great love, ahava rabbah. As Liliana was getting draped in her tallis at the beginning of the service, something I said to her when we were preparing is that a tallis is like a hug. You know, it's like you're wrapped in a hug, which is true of any talit. You know, it's got 4 corners on it. It's this really wacky Jewish garment that is described in the Torah. So it's like a 4,000-year-old, 5,000-year-old garment or scarf. It has to have 4 corners, and it has these funky tzitzit on the end. Tzitzit. And what tzitzit are tzitzit. That's the translation, meaning these little corners, these little fringes, to remind you who you are. And it's special when you get one of your own, and it's especially special when you get to wear one that was your grandfather's or your great-grandfather's, that you know has history, that has traveled, that has made it across oceans. Who knows where he got it from, right? And how many generations of people have worn these garments as ways to remind us who we are and how we are to be in the world. And so there's actually a moment when, during this prayer, we gather the 4 corners of our tzitzit together and hold them in one hand. And it's with that we go into the Shema, which we do with our eyes closed. And so some people will even cover their eyes and hold the 4 corners of their tzitzit, you know, as a way of gathering together all that love, all that, you know, the generational love poured down, parent to child, grandparent to children, teacher to student, that brought us into this room today, into this moment right now. So I'll tell you when that moment is. You'll also see Liliana grab the 4 corners of her talit. And then you'll know we're going into the Shema, the prayer that is the declaration of oneness that we believe is the essence of who God is. Oneness and love. Ahava Rabbah Avtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chelem Lagedola V'Tera Hamalta Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Shebatchu Becha Avinu Malkeinu V'tilamdem chukei chayim Ken techonenu tlamdenu Avinu harachaman Hamerachem rachem aleinu V'ten b'libenu lehavin ולהשכיל לשמוע ללמוד ללמד לשמוע ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה והאר עינינו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחל לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש לעולם
Yeshuatecha. If you're wearing a tallis, go ahead and grab those four corners of your seats.
אתה ובנו בחרת מכל עם ולשון וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. We're on 51.
Israel, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai,
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We turn to 53. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet. I invite us to turn to 57. You'll see as we open up the Torah and begin to read this week, we're reading the Exodus story in slow motion. We started it last week. The way the Torah is read is every single week you read a section. And actually, in synagogues like ours, we're not even reading the whole section, we're reading a third of the section. So next year at this time, we'll read the same section, but the next third. And then, next year at that time, at this time, we'll read the next third. So we'll just be reading a small slice of the story. But usually when we think of the Exodus story, it's like, well, the Israelites were enslaved, and then God told Moses to tell Pharaoh to let my people go, and then there were a bunch of plagues, and then the people went forth, and they crossed the Red Sea, and then they were free. And you can tell it in, one sentence with a few commas and a semicolon. But it actually takes a month and a half of reading Torah week by week for the story to unfold, because there's a lot in there that I didn't just say, some of which Liliana will actually explicate for us and get deeper into this morning. We believe every single word in the Torah has deep meaning, so a story like that you could spend your life studying, and indeed many people do, right? This story has given birth to movements for liberation for many people, not just Jewish people. It's become a story that many people need to hear. The problem is, it's a really hard to believe story. It feels very impossible. And when you read it, I can't tell you the number of bar mitzvah kids who, instead of focusing on what you're focusing on, they're like, but the plagues, are they real? Could they have really, okay, the sea. Could God have really split the sea, scientifically speaking, And so what we do here, what we're about to do here, is in our prayer service, we invoke this story. And we zoom out to actually get out of the details of the story that make you doubt the message of the story, because the message of the story is the truth of the story. There's a thing called truth that is bigger than the details of the daily newspaper, right? You think the daily newspaper is truth? Look in the corrections section every single day, right? Because they always got something wrong. The Torah is full of stories that have a bigger message, that have a transcendent, timeless message, and it's actually not about whether or not it happened with a little h. It's actually about whether it happens, whether it can happen, should happen, must happen. And so the reason why we pray, invoking these stories, as we're about to do, we're about to sing the same words the Israelites sang when they reached the far end of the Red Sea. And we do this every single day, twice a day, actually, these words, mi chamocha, to remind ourselves that this has happened, should happen, must happen in the world, year after year, day after day, in movements and also in our lives. So I'm going to ask us to stand on 57 as we go into Micha Mocha. And so this is a prayer. I want to say it's a prayer for you. So ask yourself, what's the Red Sea? What's the unlikely thing that you need to have happen in your life, in your world? And that's what we're praying for. And that's what we're praying for. And then we'll go into the Amidah, the standing prayer, which is where in that quiet space you actually get to say what it is that you're hoping and praying for in your own life. So. Tehilot le'el elyon baruch hu mevorach Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lecha anu shira v'simcha rabah ve'amru kulam ay mi chamocha va'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh Torah tehilot oseh peleh shira chadasha shivchu geuli and alayla sheyesh shimcha al sefat hayam yachad kulam hodu v'imlichu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam ha'ed hay Tzur Yisrael kuma bezrat Yisrael ufdeichinu mecha Yehuda veYisrael go alenu Adonai tzvaot shemo kedosh Yisrael baruch atah Adonai Yisrael. We turn and we face east. Turn to 57. We'll begin the Amidah out loud, asking God to open up our mouth so that we can say the right words. Whatever words are on our heart, we'll begin together with the prayers on 58, 59, and 60, and then there'll be some open space. And in that open space, you can say whatever you want to say.
And you say it quietly under your breath. You can even move around the room so you have a little bit of privacy. You can close your eyes and breathe. Use the quiet space just to kind of regain composure and connection. And then we'll come back together. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips, let my mouth declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Hazei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava. 59, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham ufoked Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei metim atah Rav leHoshia, Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayei metim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofeh holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua. 60, V'ne'eman ata lahachayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hametim. Kind of go back and forth with this. You say the first paragraph, and then I'll kind of repeat and continue. Nigadesh et shimcha be'olam kashem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom kakatuv al yad nevi'acha v'kara ze el ze ve'amar. You go up on the balls of your feet as we say Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai tzvaot melo kol haaretz kevodo. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai tzvaot melo kol haaretz kevodo. Az bekol ra'ash gadol artir v'chazak mashmi'im kol minasim l'umat serafim l'umatam baruch yomeru
Adonai go
baruch kivod Adonai mimekomo. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך. 61, מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו לעולם בעד תשכון. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור לנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראינה מלכותך דוד משיח צדקך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לעמוש לעולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. So the Amidah continues on 62 and goes until about 72. Feel free to just page through it, see what resonates or stands out, or just take these moments for your own personal prayer space.
173, prayer for peace. Oh, say shalom bimroma. Huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen.
Shalom bimroma. Say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen.
Good Shabbos! It is nice to see everybody. Since the last time I said it was nice to see everybody, which was about 50 minutes ago, and the room did not have as many people in it. It is gorgeous to see you all. What we are going to do now is a little rearranging up here so that we can prepare for the Torah service. And so what I want to invite you to do in that space, in addition maybe to running to the restroom or grabbing coffee, is to greet somebody you do not know. You did not come with here this morning. And to say Shabbat Shalom and what brought you here. And just make a little connection, create a little warmth in the room. See you in a few minutes.
See the kids. Will you just make sure that my iPad makes it onto the onto there? Yeah. Will you just make sure that this makes it onto that side? I'm gonna go say hi to the Rise and Shine.
Like on this side.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like where I would need it to help pull up.
We are. Patrick, hello. Is this thing on? Can you hear me? Yeah. We're going to be getting back started again. We're going to be on page 75 in the hardcover Siddur, in the hardcover book. Robert and Gemma and Josie and Rachel, I just want you to get ready because you're on deck. We're on page 75 in the hardcover book. Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutcha malchut kol olamim u'memshalcha bechol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai yoz le'amo yitain Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom חומות ירושלים כי בך לבד בטחנו מלך העולם ונישא אדון עולמים הללללי הללללי איי 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 איי. Want to invite up Robert and Gemma and Josie and Rachel to open the ark, and as we open the ark, we all stand. Whenever the ark is open and the Torah is standing, then we stand too. So come on up. Vayehi binso Aharon, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, veyafutzu repeat.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Try
and take a seat.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom!
My name is Liliana, and my Torah portion is the beginning of the process of the Israelites being freed from Pharaoh, who was keeping them as slaves. In last week's Torah portion, God appeared to Moshe at the burning bush and gave him the responsibility to speak personally to Pharaoh on God's behalf, telling him to tell Pharaoh, "Let my people go." Moshe is described as someone who holds complex and ambiguous identities. He is born as an Israelite, is then raised as an Egyptian prince in Pharaoh's house, and then comes to lead his people, the Israelite people, out from slavery under Pharaoh's rule. This Torah portion also describes God in many names, or in other words, a different meaning to different people. In the first verse that I am going to read from the Torah today, we learn that God was known to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, and to Moshe as Adonai. In God's encounter with Moshe at the burning bush last week, Moshe asks God what God's name is, and God responds with, Aheye Asher Eheye. I will be what I will be. These moments both connect to a midrash by the Mayoher Vashemesh that I learned in preparation for this day. The midrash explains these different names of God, saying that God is known by a different name by each individual, and how it is important to not just practice or believe what your ancestors believed, but to come with your own relationship with God, divinity, and spirituality. While studying my Torah portion, I was on my own journey to find my own name for God. My parents celebrate different religions. My father is atheist but was raised Catholic, and my mother is Jewish. My father does not believe in God, while my mother does. Even though my father left the Catholic community, his family is still Catholic and Christian. Growing up, I was exposed to different models, both of which I see value in and believe in. My parents decided to raise me Jewish, but gave me exposure to a range of different religions and different views of God. Within that, I created my own view of God and my own view of religion. This made it hard for me to find belonging in one religion. I felt like no one in my family understood my relationship with religion, and that was a gray area in my life for a long time. I didn't know if I would be accepted into my mother's or my father's religion because of the different views I held and different practices that I partook in. I have found my belonging in Judaism, but still continue to be open-minded to other religious and non-religious views and practices. Becoming a bar mitzvah is important to me because I want to follow a tradition that I want to connect to what my mom and everyone in my family experienced. This will connect me more to the Jewish community. My great-grandfather traveled 8 years to the United States from Persia. He dedicated his life to giving my grandfather, then my mother, and then me a better life. This has inspired me to carry on his Jewish traditions because they were very special to him, and now they are very special to me. I want to carry on his spirit because of his commitment to the Jewish religion, and if it wasn't for him, my family and I would not be in America today. This connects to Moshe's ambiguous identity that I discussed at the beginning of the speech. Even though Moshe is raised in an Egyptian family, he still has a commitment to the Israelites because he still rises to the occasion of being responsible to the Israelite people that he was born into. This reminds me of my own religious differences within my family and my family history. For me, becoming a bar mitzvah is about doing good for myself, my family, and the community. My mitzvah project was about connecting to doing good for the community. My project was volunteering at Hello Baby, an organization on the south side of Chicago run by Debbie Frisch. Hello Baby is a free play space for children who do not have access to other safe spaces to play. Over the summer, I went to Hello Baby 2 to 3 times a week and helped out and played with the kids. It was a great experience for me because I got to see a community coming together and caring for each other, all in a small space for kids. It was eye-opening because I would never have thought a play space could do so much good for the community, Chicago, and the world. Part of what becoming a mitzvah means to me is creating my own relationship with God, or by giving God a name that I can connect them with. My question for you all today is, what is your name for God? How do you connect to God on your own personal level? As my speech is coming to an end, I would like to thank some special people. First, I would like to thank my mitzvah tutor, Tali Ainsfeld. They were an amazing tutor, and all of their hard work has enabled me to become closer to my Jewish faith and a bat mitzvah. Secondly, I would like to thank Debbie Frisch for giving me the opportunity to volunteer at Hello Baby. It was a great experience that has impacted my view of the world and community. I hope to continue my volunteering and spend more time with you during the summer. I would then like to thank my father. Thank you for letting me be my own person with my own worldviews and ideas. I appreciate the sacrifices and hard work that you put in for me every day, even if I do not always show it. The hard work that you put into your job, family, and life inspired me to work as hard as you on becoming a bar mitzvah. You hold a special place in my heart, and I love you today and always. I'm sorry. And now for my mother. You are the one who has always encouraged my Jewish faith, and for you, I appreciate that every day. Your constant cheering me on to become the woman I am becoming today has helped shape me and give me a positive view of the world. You are my light in the dark, and even if I have an attitude with you sometimes, I always appreciate your devotion to me, and I always reciprocate for you no matter what. You are truly an amazing mother, and I love you very much. I always will. I would then like to thank Mishkan for giving me the opportunity to become a bar mitzvah. I couldn't have done it without any of you. And lastly, I would like to thank everyone that showed up today. I appreciate and cherish every one of you. Thank you.
Beautiful. It's not a real bat mitzvah if we don't need some tissues, huh? In honor of how special this decision is that Liliana has made in honor of herself and her family, we are going to call her and some of her loved ones and some of you up to the Torah, which is considered a great honor to stand in the presence of our ancient text and share in it. You are also invited to share in this text by following along in your book, a page which I will shortly tell you unless someone else has it open already. The parsha is Va'era, not Vayera, confusing as that may be. 351, thank you. We are on page 351. You are invited to follow along in the text if you have it, make friends with your neighbor if you don't have it, to ask yourself, as Liliana invited us through this text, what is the name for God that you feel most connected with? And to participate by saying Amen and by being present for Liliana and her family and for the people in the community who are marking special occasions today. V'yazor, v'yagen v'yoshia l'chol achsim ba v'nomar amen hakol. Havu godel Eloheinu udnu kavod laTorah. Ya'amdu. Rachel bat Aaron, v'Aaron ben Suriel. Lali Arishona, Baruch shenatan Torah li'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. V'atam madbekim Adonai Elohechem, chayim kolchem hayom. See that? Okay. So your mom will do the blessing first. Okay. Here, come on.
Do I touch it?
Yeah, right there.
All right, Dad, you ready? You want to touch? Okay.
Where are we here?
Right here. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai.
Baruch Hu es Adonai
Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch
Atah
Adonai
Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Isn't that right?
Is this the microphone?
It'll pick you
Sorry.
up.
Okay. Vayedaber Elohim el Moshe, vayomer ilav, ani Adonai. Va'era el Avraham, el Yitzhak, ve'el Yaakov, be'el Shaddai ushmi Adonai lo nadati lehem. Vegam hakimoti et briti itam letet lehem et eretz Canaan et eretz megurihem asher garuva. Vegam anishmati et naakat b'nei Yisrael asher mitzrayim ma'avidim otam va'eskor et briti.
God spoke to Moses and said, I am God. I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I did not make my name known to them as Yud He Vav He, the unsayable, unknowable name of God. I also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land in which they had lived as sojourners. I've now heard the moaning of the Israelites because the Egyptians are holding them in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu
Eloheinu
melech haolam, asher
asher
natan
natan
lanu
lanu
Torah emet, ve'yeh olam natan betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Rachel and Robert, you can stay up here for just a second. As Liliana just read so beautifully in Hebrew from the Torah, the tradition is that each and every generation has their own connection to tradition and that it continues to grow and evolve and change. And I know that Liliana just spoke about this a little bit, the way that your family has connected to Jewish community across continents and across decades and generations. And I hope that this experience of watching Liliana choose to become bat mitzvah of her own free will gives you the sense that your relationship with God is continuing to evolve, that your relationship with Jewish tradition and community continues to evolve, but it's not going anywhere. It is alive and well in Liliana. And I hope that your own personal relationship continues to sustain you and that you see it borne out in Liliana and in all of the people that you get to know and be a part of Jewish community with. Mazel tov.
Ya'amod Pinchas Yisrael, Pinchas ben Yisrael, Zichrono Livracha, v'Yehudit, la'aliyah hashenit. Yeah, great. Kate, what's your Hebrew name? Kinneret bat.
Bob Fran.
Bob and Fran. For the second aliyah. We're on page 352 at verse 6.
Trying to find it.
And touch where you're starting.
Here. Baruch Hu et Adonai Borach.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Borach Olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lachen אמור לבני ישראל, אני אדוני, והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים, והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם, וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה, ושבטים גדולים. לקחתי אתכם לי לעם, והייתי לכם לאלוהים, וידעתם כי אני אדוני אלוהיכם, המוציא אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים, והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה אני אדוני. וידבר משה כן אל בני ישראל, ולא שמעו אל משה מקוצר רוח ומעבודה קשה.
Say therefore to the Israelite people, I am God. I will free you from the labors of the Egyptians and deliver you from their bondage. I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary chastisements, and I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. And you shall know that I, the Lord, am your God who freed you from the labors of the Egyptians. I will bring you to the land which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and give it to you as a possession. I am God. But when Moses told this to the Israelites, they didn't listen. Could not listen because their spirits were crushed by cruel bondage.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. And Peter's up here honoring the yahrzeit of the 18th yahrzeit of his father. Is there anything you want to say in honor of your dad?
Yeah, sure. I guess my father loved a few things in life. He loved, first and foremost, being Jewish and davening. I think in this order, davening, being Jewish, his family, his patience, opera, and probably Mel Brooks on that list. But after 18 years, unfortunately, memory starts to recede, and it fades back into the back of your mind on a daily basis, and there's nowhere where I think for me his memory is more powerful than when I'm in a community like this and listening to davening like this. That's when his spirit is strongest within me. So I just wanted to thank you, Lizzie, and Mishkan for the opportunity to honor him today.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Come this way. Yeah. Come hang out over here.
Yamdu, Yoshua ben Aharon, and others of Liliana's aunts and uncles, Lalia Shlishit.
And then you all can hold the Torah open when he begins to read. That'd be great.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, בוא דיבר אל פרעה מלך מצרים, וישלח את בני ישראל מארצו, וידבר משה לפני אדוני לאמור, הן בני ישראל לא שמעו אלי, ואיך ישמעוני פרעה, ואני ארעל שפתיים. וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון, ויצווהם אל בני ישראל ואל פרעה מלך מצרים להוציא את בני ישראל מארץ מצרים.
And so God spoke to Moses saying, "Go and tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to let the people go out of his land." But Moses appealed to the Lord and said, "The Israelites wouldn't listen to me. How do you think God's supposed to listen to me? I can't even talk right." So God spoke to both Moses and Aaron in regard to the Israelites and Pharaoh, king of Egypt, instructing them together to deliver the Israelites from the land of Egypt.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So one of you can stay up here as a representative. The rest of you just hang out for 1 second. What's so interesting to me about what Moses says, I'm of impeded speech, I think has to do with what Liliana talked about, that he grew up in so many different communities. And yet he's able to come to the Israelites and speak with the unified voice that represents God. And I think, Liliana, my hope for you is that the voices that you hear from your family, from your aunts and uncles and your friends and family and everyone gathered here and online and around the world allows you to feel not like you have so many opinions, but that you can speak with one unified voice, taking the best of your aunts and uncles and all of the people who love you, and that you know that when you do that, you are speaking with the voice of God, that you are creating holiness by listening to all of these people who love you, taking in what they have to offer you, and sharing that out with the world. So thank you for lending your voice and your opinions to Liliana so that she can become who she is today, and may that continue to be a blessing for you.
Amen, amen. All right, so all right, we got you. You're a representative? You are? All right. Ya'amdu. There's going to be a long list. David v'Mindel v'Ben Benyamin Chanat Tzipora Yitzchak Yaakov Chazan Ricky Lippitz and now I'm just going to go in the English names. Dean Gerber and Minda and Carmi and Hannah and Evan and Ricky and Nathan and Ruthie and Abram, Avilez and Ori, La Aliyah HaRivi'it and Aaron Berry online.
I'll get close. One or two of you, if you want to take your seat and touch where Gideon's going to show you.
Great. Yeah, hold that open. All right, great. Yeah, get in there. If you want to be on this side, Carmi, feel free. Yeah, all right. Okay.
Baruch et Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ele Rashi Beit Avotam B'nei Ruven Bechor Yisrael Chanoch Ufalu Chetron Becharmi Ele Mishpechot Ruven Uvenei Shimon Yimuel B'Yamut V'Yamin V'Ohad V'Yachin V'Tzohar V'Shaul Ben Haknanit Ele Mishpechot Shimon V'Lishmot B'nei Levi L'Toldotam Gershon Ukahat Umerari Ushnei Chayei Levi Sheva Ushloshim U'Ma'at Shana B'nei Gershon Libni B'Shimi L'Mishpechotam U'B'nei Kahat Amram V'Yitzhar B'Chebron B'Uziel Ushnei Chayei Kahat Shalosh Ushloshim U'Ma'at Shana U'B'nei Merari Machli U'Mushi Ele Mishpechot HaLevi L'Toldotam.
And these are the heads of their respective clans, all the different clans of the sons of Jacob, the sons of Ruvain, Israel's firstborn, Enoch and Palu and Hezron and Carmi. That's his name, as it turns out. Those are the families of Ruvain, the sons of Shimon, Jmuel and Jamin and Ohad and Jachin and Zohar and Saul, the son of a Canaanite woman. And those are the families of Shimon. These are the names of Levi's sons by their lineage, Gershon and Kohat and Merari. They're going to come in a couple chapters and create some chaos. In the span of Levi's life was 137 years. These are the sons of Gershom, Livni and Shimi by their families, the sons of Kohat, Amram and Yitzhar and Hebron and Uziel. The span of Kohat's life was 133 years. The sons of Merari were Mahli and Mushi. These are all great options for anybody who's thinking of having children. I especially like Mushi and Mali. These are the families of the Levites by their lineage.
It's good name for a dog.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So, joining a spiritual community is kind of a big deal. You know, I mean, for some people, maybe it's just sort of like, oh, it's what my parents did and it's what their parents did before them, so it's something I have to do. But I actually feel like in this world where so much is a la carte and you can kind of choose to show up or not, you know, choose to consume or not, to actually commit to a space and a place to get to knowing people and investing in community is a bold choice. And it's like a life cycle moment. It's like a bar bat mitzvah or baby naming. It's like a moment to celebrate. And so you are all new builders, new or new-ish builders in the community in Aaron 2 online. And we just wanted to first of all celebrate you and welcome you officially in the context of an aliyah. And Aaron, and Hannah and Evan are actually going to share a little bit about like what this moment means for you.
Yeah. Hello, Shabbat Shalom. No, we were really honored to be asked to come up here and for the Aliyah today. Hannah and I at least have moved around most of our adult lives, and are finally now in a place where we feel settled in Chicago. And the first thing that we were craving was like some permanence and some Jewish community and some roots. And the ability to join something like that that's so aligned with our values and doesn't compromise any of that was like really what drew us to Mishkan. Yeah.
Well, Mazel Tov. Glad you're here. And anybody who has questions about this community, if you're here for the first time or you're back after a long time and you're like, why? What's going on here? What is this place? Here are a group of people who have done their homework, and you can ask them. So welcome. We're so glad you're here. And Mazel Tov. And you can just sort of come this way. Come hang out over here. One of you can stay up as a representative. So you could sit.
Ranan ben Chaim Yechezkel v'Chava le'aliyah chamishit.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch et Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch et Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayikach Amram et Yocheved dodato lo lisha vatele lo et Aaron v'et Moshe u'shnei חיי עמרם 37 ומאת שנה ובני יצהר קורח ונפג וזכרי ובני עוזיאל מישאל ויelצפן וסיטרי ויקח אהרון את אלישבע בת עמינדב אחות נחשון לו לאישה ותלה לו את נדב ואת אביהו את אלעזר ואת איתמר ובני קורח אסיר ואלקנה ואביאסף אלה משפחות הכורחי ואלעזר בן אהרון לקח לו מבנות פותיאל לו לאישה ותלד לו את פנחס אלה ראשי אבות הלוויים למשפחותם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
I feel like unless we let this happen right now, this is. I want to do it. Okay, Adira needs to say something. Mama. All right, great. All done? Mama. Okay. And Amram took to his wife, his father's sister, Yocheved, because they did that in those days. And she bore him Aaron and Moses, and the span of Amram's life was 137 years. The sons of Yitzhar were Korach, Nepheg, and Zichri. The sons of Uziel, Mishael, Elzaphan, and Sitri. Aaron took to wife Elisheva, the daughter of Aminadav, the sister of Nachshon. Again, all these characters come back in big ways in other places. The sons of Korach, Asir, Elkanah, and Eliasaph. These are the families of the Korites. And Aaron's son, Eleazar, took to wife one of Putiel's daughters. She bore him Pinchas. These are the heads of the fathers of the houses of the Levites by their clans. And we're going to just stop for a moment. Every time we come and read the Torah together, this is an opportunity to celebrate, and also sometimes we're celebrating like near-death experiences. And we want to really come and celebrate the fact that we made it to the other side of it. We made it to Shabbat. And, sometimes women after childbirth will say a blessing. Sometimes people after traveling a long distance will come back and say a blessing. And this blessing is called Birkat HaGomel, the blessing of gratitude for being on the receiving end of good things. So Gideon and Stephanie just came back from a long trip. And
We went skydiving.
And Gideon asked, could we please say Birkat HaGomel? So Birkat HaGomel, for anybody who wants to join, is on page 80 in the hardcover book. And they are going to say sort of an opening volley, and then we speak back to them. We're on the right-hand side of page 80.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hagomel lekulanu tovot shegemalani/lanu kol tov.
And then we say back, Mi shegemalach or gemalcha kol tov, hu yigmalchem kol tov selah.
May the one who has done good for you thus far, who made it possible for you to get to a place in your life where you could even consider jumping out of an airplane, consider and continue to do well and be good to you moving forward. Amen, amen.
All right, we are going to start to hand out some candy. I know that the temptation with candy is twofold, to eat it and to crinkle it, and I want to ask you to not do either of those things, but instead to just hold it, and if the temptation gets too strong for you, just stick it under your chair. You're going to need it in just a minute. We're going to call Liliana up to the Torah for the first time as a Jewish adult. She is going to read and do the blessings. I'm going to say nice things to her, and then I'm going to say Mazel Tov, and that is your cue to gently toss the candy in her direction. We don't want to take her out in her first moments as a Jewish adult, so gently toss, and if you are the kind of person who is of an age where coming up to get candy is appealing to you, you are invited to do that. Tamod, 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 Habachura, Habat Mitzvah, Shoshana Bat Rachel V'Rabert, Le'aliyah HaShishit.
Where's the bottom of page 355?
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Hamim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Hu Aharon u Moshe Asher Amar Adonai Lehem Chotzio et Bnei Israel Me'eretz Mitzrayim al Zivotam Hem Hamidabrim El Paro Melech Mitzrayim Lehotzi et Bnei Israel Mi Mitzrayim Hu Moshe ve Aharon Vayehe Bayom Deber Adonai El Moshe Be'eretz Mitzrayim.
And it was the same Aaron and Moses to whom God said, bring forth the Israelites of Egypt, out of the land of Egypt, troop by troop. And it was they who spoke to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to free the Israelites from the Egyptians. These are the same Moses and Aaron. For when God spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, and God said to Moses, I am the Lord, speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I will tell you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu toret emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So Liliana, as we just read, there's this long list of genealogy and these people and those cousins and these people. And then it says, this is the same Aaron and Moshe who had the holy task of going to Pharaoh and freeing the Israelites. And you shared with us a little bit about your family story today. You shared with Rabbi Lizzie and I a little bit more earlier this week. All of the different threads, all of the different people in your life who made you you. And I was so struck when I had my very first conversation with you and your mom that you were the one who decided to do this, that you are not 13, you're a little older than 13. And you said, all of these different threads of my life have come together such that I want to mark this occasion in community with my family and friends and also with people who I've never met before. But I want them to be part of watching all of these strands come together. And what a blessing for us to get to watch someone say, I choose this. I want this. This is mine. All of the different pieces of me and my family and my friends and my experiences, they're all me in this moment who is choosing to take my place in Jewish community and claim it. And you learned so much over the last few months. You dedicated yourself so hard to studying, to arranging all of your meetings with your tutor. How sacred is it for us to be present watching all of these different things happen that didn't have to lead to this moment, but you made them so. And may you be blessed to continue to share that with all of the people who are around you. May all of us be blessed to continue to follow your journey and to be inspired by the ways that all of the things that happen around us could be coincidence, but we turn them into fate and purpose. So I want to ask all of us here to stretch your hands out towards Liliana. I'm going to offer her the priestly blessing, that most ancient blessing in Judaism, that says, may all of the goodness and blessing that exists out in the world be channeled towards this person. All of the good things that I have gotten to experience, I hope you get them too. The tradition, if you can, is to spread your fingers like this so that you're acting like TV antenna for blessing. If you can't do it, just spread your fingers wide, all good. And to think about all of the blessings that each of you have had, and to send a little bit of that Liliana's way. At the end of the blessing, you will have your Mazel Tov throwing candy moment. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha Ve'yasem lecha shalom. May God and life be good to you and shine upon you and grant you peace and favor and success. Mazel tov!
Mazel tov! Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. One last time, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov. Any little ones who want to come pick up candy, feel free. There's a bunch. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Mazel tov. Yasher koach. Woo!
So, we, in some services, we would be finished with reading the Torah after the Bat Mitzvah Aliyah, but we're actually not. We're going to continue reading. This is also Henry's Bar Mitzvah Parsha, and Henry feels very attached to his Bar Mitzvah Parsha and wants to continue to read it, which I think is so awesome, and it's an amazing lesson that we can think of Bar Mitzvah as a thing that happens at 13, and it's like you cross the finish line of 13 and you become Bar Mitzvah, and like that's it. And I think today is a resounding argument that we shouldn't think of it that way, that we can at any point in our life choose to celebrate our place in the Jewish people, choose to celebrate our relationship to text and Torah as Liliana has done, and we will continue to remain connected to the texts that we interact with when we take them seriously. That any text that we take seriously, that we engage with for ourselves and with others, we continue to maintain a relationship with that text over time, and it is always a good time to continue to celebrate that relationship. So thank you, Henry, and thank you, Liliana, for teaching us exactly what it means to be genuinely a bar or bat mitzvah, a child of the commandments, to continue to be commanded to show up for yourself and your community, to celebrate, and for giving us another opportunity to celebrate you, like what, 15 years after your bar mitzvah? I was giving you a pass there.
Before we read, we want to do a blessing for healing. So if there's somebody who is in your life who you are praying for, we do that in the context of reading Torah because it takes a lot of strength to actually learn how to read Torah and to study Torah, and we're considered to get like a kind of merit, a kind of reward for studying and learning Torah, and we don't just want to hoard that reward, we want to share it specifically with people who need a prayer and need healing. So I'm going to ask you to stand if there's somebody who needs love, who needs a prayer, who needs healing. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, to be sick, to need help. And so we say the names out loud because we leverage all of the love in this room and all of the learning that's happening in this room toward the health and healing of those people. So we'll begin to sing. The Misha Berach is at the bottom of 82, and I'm going to just look around. from face to face to face, and you can just say the names of the people you're thinking of as we sing. So. In the back, Rebecca.
Elliot Mintzberg.
My grandpa Ryan Clemens.
Grandmother.
Aiden Shalom, Ben Abraham Basara, Celia. Is there anybody who still has a name to share? Abraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim. May the God of our ancestors heal everyone who we're thinking about and everyone in the world who needs a prayer. And I'll say Amen. Amen. Ya Amor, Chaim Yaakov, Ben Shavtai Dov, Rivka, who is also my husband, whose Hebrew name I should know, La'aliyah HaShvi'it.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. He's going to read so much that I'm not going to translate all of it. If you want to follow along, we're on 356, page 356 in the softcover book. Starts to get good.
Vaydaber Adonai El Moshe Lemor Ani Adonai Daber El Paro Melech Mitzrayim Et Kol Asher Ani Dover Elecha Vayomer Moshe Lifnei Adonai Hein Ani Aral Sifatayim Ve'ech Yishma Elai Faro Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Re'ei netaticha Elohim lefaro ve'aharon achicha yihya neviacha ata tedaber et kol asher atzaveka ve'aharon achicha yedaber el paro vayishlach et bnei Yisrael meratzo vani akasha et lev paro vehir beiti et ototai v'ed moftai be'eretz Mitzrayim v'lo yishma alechem paro v'natati et yadi b'Mitzrayim v'otzeti et tzivotai et ami b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim bishvatim gedolim v'yadu Mitzrayim ki ani Adonai bintoti et yadi al Mitzrayim v'otzeti et b'nei Yisrael mitocham Vayas Moshe v'Aaron kasher tziva Adonai otam kenosu uMoshe ben shonim shana v'Aaron ben shalosh u'shmonim shana b'dabram el paro Vayomer Adonai el Moshe v'el Aaron lemor ki yedaber alechem paro lemor tenu lachem mofet v'amarta el Aaron kach et matcha v'ashalech lifnei paro yihila tanin Vayavo Moshe v'Aaron el paro vayasu chen kasher tziva Adonai Vayishlach Aharon et Matehu lifnei paro v'lifnei avadav vayehi letanin vayikra gam paro lechachamim v'lamachashvim vayasu gam hem chartumei Mitzrayim v'lahatehem kain vayashlichu ish Matehu vayiyu letaninim vayivla Matei Haron ematotam V'chazak lev paro v'lo shama alehem kasher diber Adonai.
Wait, before your blessing, I'm not going to translate the whole thing, but this is where God tells Moses to stretch out his staff and begin to create the serpent, and then the magicians of Pharaoh do the same thing, and so Pharaoh's heart is not moved. ... And now you also understand why we only read a third of the Torah reading every Shabbat. All right, go ahead and do your blessing. Amen. Yasher koach. We are going to stand as the Torah is raised and wrapped. Do we have someone raising it? Yeah, Talius is going to raise it. And we've got Sophie and Di coming to help wrap it. Yep. Situation. We got it. Okay. Great. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Yeah, hallelujah. Et Shem Adonai ki nizkav shmo levado. Hodo al erech v'shamayim v'yaren keren le'amo tehila lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo hallelujah mizmor leDavid Adonai v'nei Avul Adonai Kavod la'oz. We're actually going to turn to 92 in the Siddur. Ki lekachto natati lachem Torati al tazovu et ha'ivri lemachar koach. Whew, we can take a seat. So every Shabbat service, we always have a couple rabbis hiding here in the community. And one of them came up to me halfway through the service to say, you know, the teaching about the window, it's not just about spirituality and connecting to nature. It's actually also, and more importantly, about not getting complacent in your prayer inside and forgetting about what's going on out in the world. You know, oh, I'm so spiritual, I'm so connected, and then going out in the world and not seeing the injustice that's right in front of your face because you're so spiritual. God forbid. God forbid. And so actually, one of the most important parts of a spiritual practice is not only knowing what's going on out in the world, but doing something about it. Being connected to a justice tradition is as much a part of Judaism as everything that you all just saw and experienced. So I'm so happy this morning because we get to hear from a community member, Jenny Schaefer, who's actually running for office. Now, as a 501c3 organization, we are not allowed to endorse candidates, but we can give them a platform to share about why, as a Jew and as a human and as part of this community, you are taking this really bold and powerful move, which is as much a spiritual action, I think, as it is a political choice. So thank you, Jenny, for sharing this with us this morning. Come on up. Feel free to use that microphone and use that stand. And thank you to everybody from JCUA who's here this morning from the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs, whether you daven here on a regular basis or are coming to grace us with your presence this morning. It's so great to have you here and to be in partnership.
Yes, thank you. Hey, I am Jenny Schaefer. I am a builder at Mishkan and also a leader of our awesome local action team at Mishkan with Jackie and Emily, who are also here. We'd love to share more about that work we're doing with you later. But the main reason I'm here is, like Rabbi Lizzie said, I'm running for a new position called District Council, and I really want to tell you guys about it. It's a brand new elected position, and you'll be voting on it in February when you vote for alderperson and mayor. There are 22 police districts across Chicago. Each of the districts will be electing 3 people to represent them. These 3 people will serve as neighborhood ambassadors, giving the community a voice in public safety and policing. District Council has a soft power, but a very important role in being elected community organizers who can gather neighbors around a shared vision and then work to promote these ideas across the entire district. We know that true power comes when people come together and make their voices heard. Your district council representatives can bring the community together alongside grassroots organizations like JCUA, like Rabbi Lizzie said, a close partner of Mishkan's, and work to push elected officials to lift up alternatives to policing, like violence prevention and restorative justice, and to give community members more of a say over what police do in our neighborhoods. I am running for this position because I want to work with the community to reimagine our definition of public safety and to really come together to understand what creates safety in neighborhoods. When my kids were young, I started volunteering with a local nonprofit called Embark. Embark is embedded in many CPS high schools and provides students with opportunities to get outside of their neighborhoods and experience more of what Chicago has to offer. The relationships I was building with the Embark students exposed me to people who are living just a few miles away from my family, but having completely different experiences in Chicago. I had 3 young kids at the time, and I couldn't help but compare their experiences to the students I was working with at Embark. My kids were growing up in a neighborhood surrounded with support and access to opportunity. We had good schools, safe housing, thriving businesses, and so much more. Meanwhile, Embark students I was meeting were living in neighborhoods that had been divested from for decades, leaving them with deteriorating houses and empty lots, schools that couldn't hire enough teachers and invested more in security than in social workers, corner stores with bars on the windows, lack of access to public transit, mental health care, jobs, grocery stores, and so many other things that we know help my kids and others in our neighborhood thrive. It became clear to me that the safety of a neighborhood depended on the support and the access that the community had. If we want to address the root causes of violence, we need to invest in communities across the city so that everyone in Chicago has what they need to thrive. These are the real safety measures that make communities more connected and actually work to prevent crime. Too often when there's crime in the neighborhoods, our only solution is to add more police. This reaction is overlooking the fact that at their best, police are reactive and not preventative. What I want for us and for our city is to be able to imagine a public safety system that goes beyond policing and works to address the root causes of violence with massive public investments in things like housing, education, and healthcare. When I read the Torah portion, and I read the whole thing, I didn't know we only had a third of it. It's about the plagues that befell the Egyptians, and I was reminded of our present-day city, our decades of systemic divestment from majority Black and brown communities that have led to our modern-day plagues of their own. In the times of Pharaoh, it was the frogs and the blood in the water and the famine. Today, it manifests as gun violence and property and drug abuse and drug abuse and police violence and harassment. The answer to these plagues was and still is seeking a collective liberation. It's moving away from a system that works to punish and control and perpetuate harm and work towards a system that heals and restores and liberates. When people have the access to the resources they need in order to thrive, they will. What would our world look like if all the people had these supports? There's no doubt in my mind that world would be safer and freer for all of us. I recognize that these are long-term aims. In the short term, district councils will also be able to influence and advocate for more immediate ways to improve public safety by pushing for more expansive emergency response systems. Our current system relies too heavily on policing to solve all public safety emergencies, and it is just not working. We know we can't have a one-size-fits-all approach to public safety. We need to think critically about each of the areas and identify the professionals and tools needed to respond to those particular crises. For example, mental health care professionals, not police, should be responding when there's a nonviolent mental health crisis in the community. The local action team at Mishkan, alongside our JCUA partners and other grassroots organizations, have introduced an ordinance called Treatment Not Trauma. This ordinance seeks to create a 24-hour non-police crisis response hotline for mental health-related emergencies and to reopen Chicago's shuttered public mental health clinics. Sending a mental health professional who is trained to de-escalate these situations is the response that will create safety. Coming in with force, control, and punishment often escalates situations and leads to more violence and dangerous outcomes for all people involved, and simply put, does not create meaningful safety in a community for anyone. District council members can work with grassroots organizations like JCUA, community groups like Mishkan's local action teams, and other engaged community members to organize around ordinances like Treatment Not Trauma and others that can move away from an over-reliance on policing and more towards a system that carefully examines and analyzes each area of public safety to ensure that our responses to these situations are individualized and create the most amount of safety in the neighborhoods. In addition to mental health responders, we should have data-driven tools and properly trained professionals responding to homelessness and drug-related calls. There are so many innovative solutions that work to expand our public safety system, and the public needs to know about them. District council members will be responsible for collecting these ideas from community organizations and bringing them to the table so that we can educate ourselves and advocate for the solutions that best suit our community. District council members will be able to organize the community to push towards our collective liberation. We can no longer choose a path that prioritizes one group's needs while harming another. Judaism teaches us that our liberation is tied to one another. Therefore, we simply cannot create safety for ourselves without bringing safety to the entire community. We know that these are the conditions that have created our modern-day plagues. Building walls around communities or hiring private security to protect us is not the answer. We have tried these things and our plagues have multiplied. This is the equivalent of Pharaoh backing down on his promises of freedom. District council members can help the community move away from systems of punishment and harm and move towards a future that prioritizes growth and healing for all. It's important because we know that this is what creates meaningful safety in communities. District council members will collaborate with the community to uplift a vision that creates meaningful safety for everyone. We would love to talk to you more about some of the ordinances that we are most excited about. It feels like a very hopeful time in our city because there are so many amazing things and activists and community organizations that are doing what they can to build genuine safety in the community, and people need to know about them. As Rabbi Leslie said, there are a bunch of people from JCUA here. Anna Rubin is also running in the 20th district.
Stand up and wave so that people know if they want to come talk to you or have questions. Love it.
Emily was over there too. So thank you very much for listening to me, and please vote in February.
this thing? Ah, all right, there we go. And if you have questions about how to get involved as a Mishkan person in JCUA's work or other kinds of justice efforts in the city, talk to Jenny, I thought I saw Jackie Rassner somewhere. And we hope to keep seeing you around. For those of you who are seeing for the first time or for the first time in a long time, we hope that you'll come back. We do this every week, either Friday night or Saturday morning. So check our online calendar. There's a lot going on that is not Shabbat. Learning opportunities. Tim is doing a Torah study on Sunday weekly. Rachel is hosting a Shabbat dinner in the northern suburbs to study Musar, which last night on my online with the captions that auto caption, it called it not Musar, but Moose Art. So you can do Musar and also Moose Art, and if either of those things are interesting to you, I think Rachel's Shabbat dinner should slake that thirst. Anyway, I hope to keep seeing and building community and learning with all of you. We are going to stand. We're going to begin to round out our service to an end. I realize we forgot during the Torah service to tell you that the new Hebrew month begins this Sunday night. May it be a month of health and healing for all of you, the month of Shvat. We're going to turn to page 108 as we go into the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. We face east and bow, ואנחנו משתחווים ומודים. Come on back, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. We're at the bottom on 109. You can sing after me, והשבותה. We take this opportunity to remember everybody who's come before us. Kaddish Yatom Mourner's Kaddish is on page 111. And if there is someone you're remembering, I invite you to stay standing and you can share who it is. If there's nobody you're remembering this morning, but you're just going to say Amen, feel free to sit. And if there's somebody whose name you want to share with us, whose yahrzeit it is, or somebody who's passed in the last month or week or year, so you can go ahead and share their names.
Shines past Esther.
Nate Bronstein.
This is your tight, isn't it?
Evan Levy.
My mom, Marilyn Schechter. My mom,
Did you already share, Peter? Did you already? Yeah? Okay. Anyone else remembering this morning? Morning Kaddish is on 1:11. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rabbah v'alma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mivorach leolam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata tamiran be'alma v'imrum Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imrum Oseh shalom b'imromav Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Yehi zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be blessings. All right. We've done it, everyone. Mazel tov. We're going to stand and raise a glass for Kiddush and bless bread. And then I understand some of us are leaving and some are staying. So we're going to be turning over the room so people can sit down and eat, which means if you see people with tables and chairs moving around, get out of their way so they can set up. Thank you. And Mazel tov. Mazel tov to Liliana, to her family, to everybody who's here to celebrate, to our new builders, and to all of us this morning on just having a couple hours of rest. I hope it continues and helps you have a weekend full of a little bit of restfulness, or a lot. We're on 113. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Beini uvein v'nei Yisrael oti leolam Oti leolam V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Last time V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Work for 6 days, and on the seventh day you will rest. It will be a day of no work, not for you, your children, your servants, your animals, not the stranger residing in your gates. For in 6 days God made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is within them, and rested on the seventh day. God has a bigger job than you have, and God could rest on the seventh day, so can you. Al kein berach Adonai et yom ha-Shabbat v'yekadshehu savri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. You want to do bread?
Woo! Go ahead and stretch your hands towards this bread as if you too were part of creating it and will certainly be part of eating it unless you're gluten-free, in which case don't eat this. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lecha min haaretz. Amen. You want to send it around? Maybe somebody can hold it and take it. Yeah, they can. Yeah, Tim, you want to take this and get it going? Let's see. We're on 112. Yeah. Okay. Adon olam asher malach v'teh